Welcome back, everyone. This is a video that so many of you have been requesting. I am finally going to do a high-level overview of Hurricane VR. It is one of, if not the best VR framework for Unity and will help you get a project up and running extremely quickly. It has 90% of the interactions you'll need in most video games that you would ever make in regards to VR. So today I'm just going to walk you through how to get it set up, kind of go over some of the features, talk about what I like about it, talk about some things I may dislike about it, and I'll leave it up to you to decide if it is worth it. So at its core, Hurricane VR is a VR interaction framework. So what it does well is sets up your interactions with the world. How does the player interact with the world in regards to grabbing objects, doing like a force kind of grab, even like a Half-Life Alyx glove toss, that's included. The different hand gestures, different poses that your hands may have, all of that is all included in this framework, as well as you get 3 different gun models and a bow and arrow and swords and knives and a lot more that you'll see. There's a full inventory system in this asset. It's actually quite comprehensive and really incredible. So let's jump into it. We'll set it up really quick, and then I'll walk through and just kind of play around with all the features that it has, and I'll let you decide for yourself. So what we have here is your default URP project. I'm using the newest version of Unity out at the moment, which is 2022.1.7 F1, and we're going to set up Hurricane VR. So first things first, just like every VR project, you're going to need to go to Project Settings, XR Plugin Management, and then install XR Plugin. Once that's installed, we're going to check the OpenXR box. That's going to install the OpenXR SDK. And it's also going to flip us over to the new input system. So we're just going to hit yes, and that'll restart Unity and bring it back up. Once that's back up, we're going to click on this warning icon here, click edit, and that'll bring us to a different page. So we're going to go from XR Plugin Management to OpenXR, and all we need to do is add an interaction profile. So just add whatever device that you have, or a device that you're planning on building and having people be able to play your game on. So in this case, we're just going to do an Oculus Touch controller profile. And then from here, normally I would go and install like the XR Interaction Toolkit and all of Unity's VR stuff, but instead of that, we're just going to use a pre-built framework. So we're going to go to Package Manager, and inside of Packages, we're going to go to My Assets. And if you've already purchased Hurricane VR, all you have to do is type in Hurricane in the search box and it'll show up here. And we're going to re-download or update whatever that button says just to get the latest version of the asset. If you haven't installed it already, it'll just say install. And then we're going to click import, and that's going to pop up a box that gives us an option of everything we want to bring into our project. As you can see, these are all the things that this asset's going to bring in. It's a pretty big package, but there's just a lot going on. You'll see there's a lot of scripts in there. It's going to be super useful. So we're going to hit import. We're going to grab it all. If you've done this before, you can just not import the demo scenes if you don't want to, just to save a little bit of memory space for your project. But in this case, we're actually going to use the demo scenes. And once you successfully import everything, you'll be prompted with this little pop-up box. It gives you the latest release notes of what all's happened, and then on the left side here you'll see there are links to different setups and some documentation if you want to access these. So if I click on one, it's going to take me to Cloudwalker's documentation here, and the documentation is actually really well done. So there's setup, framework, posing, how to do a full rig, integrations with other assets like Final AK, and lots of stuff in here. And then there's also a Discord server that you can join, and the developer is super active, really helpful, and definitely recommend if you're going to be using this long term, might need some help debugging or anything, join Cloudwalker's Discord server. It is really nice. All right, so after we've perused the release notes and we know what's going on, we're going to click on Project Setup, which is this next tab over, and then it's actually really simple. We just click Setup Layers. It's going to automatically assign some layers for us. We're going to set up physics settings. That'll automatically set up the physics matrix in our project settings. And then we're going to set up a collision matrix. Well, the collision matrix is where it checks all the boxes and stuff. Physics settings is more of how often is your physics calculated and whatnot. If you're using SteamVR or OVR, which are considered legacy now, then you would want to extract and enable these as well, based on whatever plugin you're going to be using. We're using, in this case, OpenXR, so we don't need to do anything with these two sections here. And then, if you feel so inclined, you can donate via Ko-fi or leave a review on the asset store page in the About section here. So we're going to exit out of this, go to our scene here, and then in our project panel down below, we'll see we now have a Hurricane VR folder. So I'm going to double click on that, go into there, and we have some documentation, which has a PDF and some release notes. There is the framework, which is where all the meat and potatoes of the whole asset is. Now for the demo, we're obviously going to go to Tech Demo here, and then we want to go to Scenes, and then we're given 3 different scenes. One is going to be bare bones, so it's literally everything you need in a simple scene to get started. So if you want to start to build your own level via Hurricane VR, I would open up the bare bones scene and just copy everything, or maybe even just copy the bare bones scene and put it in your own folder and make your own scene from that, rename it, and then you can start to manipulate the environment. We'll jump into that a little bit later. There's a demo scene, which is an escape room that you get to walk around in, and basically while you're doing the escape room, you also get to try out all of the features and whatnot. So I definitely recommend that. That one's actually pretty fun. It's a neat little, escape room. And then the examples scene. So we're actually going to open up the examples scene in this case. And then before we can actually start playing it, there's a couple more things we need to do. So we're going to need to import TextMesh Pro. So that prompt is going to automatically pop up. We're just going to import the essentials. We don't need the examples and extras. And then if you're using URP like I am, you're going to see that everything is pink. So we're going to go to Window, and then Rendering, Render Pipeline Converter. And this is the new way in 2021 and 2022, I believe, that Unity has us upgrading materials instead of the old way where you would just go to Edit and then Materials. So we're going to click on the drop down here and swap it to built into URP. So right now everything's built in render pipeline, that's why it's all pink. And then we're going to go through and just check all of these. So rendering, materials, even animations, and read-only materials. We're going to initialize the converters. It's going to go through and look for all the materials that we actually need to convert, and then populate these lists here. There we go. It's gone through and identified everything we need to change. So we're just going to click on Convert Assets. They're already all checked. And it'll go through and update all our assets for us. There we go. And now we can see everything. I have noticed that there is one material that never actually gets converted. So if we go over to these doors on the left side, there is this pink material here, and this is supposed to be a hologram material. So all we're going to do is click on that, go to the material, and it's using an ASE sample shaders, and we're just going to swap that to Universal Render Pipeline and a simple lit. And then we're going to make it transparent, and then change the base map color to some bluish color and drop the alpha value. There we go. And now we've got a nice looking little hologram there. And then you'll see all these TextMesh Pro icons here. I usually just like to scale the icon size way down so we can actually see things. So right to left, you'll see all the way over here we have our character rig, and you'll notice there's actually two character rigs. So there is a Tech Demo XR rig, and there is a Tech Demo XR Open XR rig. And we're using OpenXR in this case, so I'm actually going to check the OpenXR and uncheck the original one, and that's just going to swap out the inputs. So the original one is using the old input system, the Tech Demo is using the new input system, and then also in HVR Global, inside of there, we're going to go to the HVR Input Manager component, and then make sure Use New Input System is checked. And you can save this, apply this override if you would like, if you're going to end up using it in multiple scenes, which I imagine you will. So let's jump in and I'll show you how it works. All right, so you'll notice that the hands are already lined up since we're using the correct input mode. And then you can slightly curl your fingers based on how much touch you're applying. And it's actually really cool. And so, you know, based on what buttons you're actually touching, you can maneuver your fingers and whatnot around. And then you'll notice the lasers pop out when we want to actually use a UI element. So this would end up being your menu, so you could, you know, make it nicer. But when the user hits a menu button on their controller, you would have something like this pop up. So you can, you know, change your grab mode, change your grip activation. So I can change it to holding the grip and then pressing the trigger to grab things, or just the grip. There is sitting or standing mode, so I'm actually in standing mode, so I can swap it over to that. Recalibrate your height. If you want it to be smooth turn like it is now, or snap turn, that can also be adjusted here. And then you can also adjust the rate and the turn speed, all from the menu. So I would just map this to a button and have it pull up whenever you press you know, the menu button. And then you know, you have your basics. So you have some guns. All the guns are physics based. Everything in here is actually physics based, which is super nice. So I'm just gonna kind of go through the line a little bit, and then this is a very developer helpful application. So the developer has added in things like if I press this button over here, it's going to automatically you know, make me grab onto this crowbar here, and then it's like forced, and then if I press it again, I'll drop it. So one of my favorite parts about this asset is actually the inventory system. So you have a built-in inventory system, and as you can see, there are small item inventory slots and large item inventory slots, and also on your back. So if I reach over with my left hand or my right hand, I can actually grab. Actually, I think it's just my left hand right now, but you can adjust it to be your left hand or your right hand. And I have a backpack with inventory slots, with some small inventory slots in the middle, and then large inventory slots on the sides and on the bottom, which is super cool. And then when I let go, the backpack just automatically goes back to my back. So you'll see there's a sword, and I can grab the sword and put it in large inventory spaces, like that, and then grab it out again if I can reach it without punching my computer. And then if I try to put it in a small inventory spot, you'll see it's coming up as red. And then there's not even an option for existing inventory slots. And then, you know, same thing for sledgehammers. They're a large item, and you can adjust, you know, if an item is large or small or whatever. And then like this gun, for example, I can, you know, pick it up, and then the gun and weapon handling is super nice. So you have two different kinds of grips on the slide. So you have your normal grip, and then you have a different kind of grip based on, you know, the direction your hands are. Let me grab a mag here. You also have distance grabs like that. And so the gun doesn't operate unless you cock it. And then it's a physics-based system. So if I take the machine gun, for example, grab the mag, put it in there, you have to cock it, and then shoot with one hand. It has a lot of recoil, and if I shoot with two hands, there's not any recoil at all. Or I cannot grab it, but I can put my hand on top of it, and that kind of mitigates the recoil too. So since it's all physics-based, I can, use a table to, mitigate that recoil, which is super cool. And then also, you have chest kind of inventory as well, which is cool because you can just grab things and throw them in the chest, and they automatically get added to the chest inventory. So fun things like that. You have knives in here. Knives can be swapped. So I'm pressing the bottom button, and it's swapping the way the knife is grabbed, which is cool. And I'm really close to my desk, so I'm like using T-Rex arms. So you have basic inventory system as well as some code inputs for grabbing things and whatnot, and then you have a backpack inventory system as well. You can throw things in here as well, and then there are also levers. Levers will give you a number and based on how much they are pushed. Let's see, this is just showing off the different grips, so I can set up different grips on something like this clipboard here, and then it'll swap hands. This is a single grip type action, as opposed to multi-grips like the sledgehammer here. There is a stabbing component, which is always fun. So arrows, if you shoot arrows, they are stab enabled, so they'll go through things. Knives, I can swap the grip and stab knives. Swords as well, and then these three are indicating three different types of stabbing. So this one's a lot easier, a lot less friction than the other ones. And you'll also see that particle effect happen when the stab is initiated. So there's also some code behind it where you can add damage when a stab occurs and whatnot. And then these are all physics based as well, so I can slide the sword in and out based on physics. And that leads us to doors and some more like mechanical type things. So these doors have to be opened via the handle. So if I walk up to it and push it, nothing happens. But if I grab the handle, turn it, and open it, it opens nicely. And if I shove it shut, it shuts. And I don't know if you heard it or not, but there's like a nice sound to it. And then I can't open it unless I turn the handle all the way. And then this one, even if I try to grab the handle and turn it, the handle doesn't even turn because it's locked. So if I drop this key in here, now I can, I have to turn the key as well. Turn the key, and then now I can open the door. So there's a locked door kind of component as well. And then the same thing with like the rotation. So if I walk over here and grab this key, as it were, put it on this little pipe here, and then we're going to control this door. So I can actually grab it and turn it. And based on how much I turn it is how much the door opens. And then there's a nice like submarine like pipes creaking sound effect. And then so this is also two-hand as well, and there we go, doors open. And then this one is more like an elevator door, so it's a slide open type style. So you have lots of different types of doors as well, and this one is controlled by a keypad. So if you're gonna make a escape room or something that required a keypad, and then based on me playing this before, I know the key is 1 2 3 4, but if I like messed up, I could back up and change the number or whatever. Enter, and then you'll see the middle spins a little bit, and then the doors open, which is actually really cool. Ta-da! And then you have more levers. There's a safe which kind of implements both. It kind of implements both the turning of the crank and the key door handle. So you have to turn the the dial a certain degrees, and the code's right there. But it's kind of difficult to get, so I won't do it live. And then there's also a little climbing mechanic here, and this is all. This isn't particular physics based, so the climbing is not. But the developer has another asset that is called Hexabody that actually integrates with this seamlessly, which I'll show you in a second. and it is super nice because you get the Boneworks style of movement, with all the physics and whatnot, with all the Hurricane interactions. So this developer Cloudwalker has a interactions asset, which is what we're in right now, and then there's also a movement, VR specific movement, which tries to mimic a Boneworks style. And before we jump out of this, I'll show you some integrations. There's also teleportation, so hit this button, it teleports me over here, and then I can hit this button, teleports me back. That's nice. You have bows and arrows, and then like we showed earlier, the arrows. Oh, I just missed. That's embarrassing. The arrows have a stab quality, so you'll see now the arrow is stabbed, and there's physics, so now this dummy here is kind of rocking back and forth based on the physics from the arrow. So super cool stuff. Finally, you have guns. Everybody loves guns. So there are actually 3 different kinds of guns. The shotgun is not in this demo, unfortunately, but you have your basic SMG here, which has a decent amount of recoil unless you're using 2 hands. And then, if I'm accurate, if I'm accurate enough, we might be able to do it. And then you can reload by knocking the other mag out. I'm putting a new one in. Let me try to be more accurate. There we go. And then all the bullets are also physics-based, so you'll see you see it knocking over the bottles and whatnot, and the bottles also get destroyed. There's a physics kind of destroy element to this as well. So I can grab the bottle, and I think I can smash it. Yep, there we go. If I hit it hard enough, if there's enough force applied to the bottle, it smashes. So there's also that added into the asset as well. So this is a super cool kind of feature, super cool framework. I'm gonna hit this button here, makes the glass open, and I can grab Thor's hammer, which is super heavy, so I can go over here and smash some bottles quite effectively with this. And this is like a 30-kilogram hammer, and just smash all these bottles. It's quite satisfying. All right, let's jump back out into Unity. So that was a little walkthrough of what all Hurricane VR has to offer intuitively in itself. And if you want to actually try out a demo without even buying Hurricane VR, if you go to the Assets store, there is actually a link to download a demo via itch.io, and you can play around with it. It's basically, you download a game with, I think there's like 2 different scenes that you can try out. One of them is the escape room, and then one of them I think is just a bunch of examples like this one. So if you want to actually try it out, see how it feels in a real game before you purchase it, that is an option as well. There's one more thing I want to show you, and a lot of VR frameworks are starting to get this, but Hurricane VR integrates with a lot of other assets. So if you go to Framework and then Integrations, you'll see that Hurricane VR integrates with Emerald AI, which is a super detailed AI asset you can look up. Final AK, which does all the VR movement of inverse kinematics. Hexabody VR, which is actually made by the developer for Hurricane VR. And there's also a package deal. I think I'll just add a link in the description to the package deal as well. Also, by the way, all the links in the description are affiliate links, so it doesn't cost you any extra money, but I get a little bit of a kickback if you purchase these through me, which I would greatly appreciate. But the first link I'm just going to link is to Hurricane VR if you want to look it up. And then the second link I'll add is the Hurricane VR and Hexabody combo, which gives you a little bit of a discount on both for the bundle. And then there's also Oculus and Steam VR integrations as well. But if you want to add these, then you'll need to download the other assets separately first, and then you double click on this integration and it will install a few extra code bits to help with that integration, and you'll get another demo scene with both of them together. And I will likely be doing a lot more detailed tutorials about how to actually use Hurricane VR for actually making an actual game with it. I may try to make some small mini games with it just to try it out, play around with it, and let you guys see how it works. I've made a couple half games I haven't published yet with Hurricane VR, and it's just so easy. All you have to do is really just add like the quest type elements to it, and the storyline in the scene, and all of the interactions are handled for you. And honestly, if you think about it, yes, it's an expensive asset, but if my time is worth $30 or even $20 an hour as a developer or as a coder, then is it worth 2.5, 3 hours of my time, trying to code any of this, which, I wouldn't be able to code, even a quarter of this in 3 hours, then I should just buy it, and I save a bunch of time, bunch of money, and I am, a month ahead of where I would be if I was going to try to code all this myself. So you kind of think about it. Yes, it's a little expensive, but in the long run, especially since you can use this for as many projects as you want, this is well worth it. I definitely recommend it. So I hope you like this review. If you're interested in doing a lot of VR development, or if you're interested in getting into VR development as a career path, then I will be putting out a course relatively soon-ish in the coming months. So if you're interested in that, there's a link to the description to sign up for updates about when that starts to come out. And I am sure Hurricane VR will be a part of that course. Maybe even have some sections about making a whole game with some kind of framework like Hurricane VR. So I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.